YouTubers, Pastor Bob NCC, welcome to my channel. Hope you all are having a blessed week this week. Hey, I just want to talk to you for just a minute about time. Time in general. When you look at time, you can go back in eternity and you can never get to the end of it. And God has been creating all that time because He's the God of creation. You can go forward in time and never reach the end of it. Eternity is forever. And then all of a sudden in the middle of this, we have eternity past, we have eternity future, and somewhere in the middle of this is your life. And your life is just a blip on that timeline, just a blip. It's not even, it's barely worth mentioning. It's just there for a second. It's just there. So one thing you're going to notice as time passes, and that is the older you get, the faster time goes by. I remember a block of time in my life that was the longest block of time of any block of time, and that was my 4 years of high school. I did not like high school. I had a lot of friends, but I didn't want to be there. And those 4 years to me were an eternity. They were the longest 4 years of my life. And so I left high school and I immediately went into the military. I went into the Air Force and I did a 20-year career. I spent 20 years, retired, and that 20 years went by in a blink of an eye. I enjoyed it. I was having the time of my life, and literally it was a blink of an eye. That 20 years was way shorter than those 4 years of high school. And right now, I've been retired for 26 years. And the last 26 years since I retired is just a blink. It's a blink of an eye. I cannot believe that 26 years has passed since I retired. Billy Graham was once asked, what's one of the most amazing things about life that you've discovered? And he didn't even have to think about it. He said, the brevity of life, how fast my life has passed me by. David says a little something about this life in Psalms 39:4-6. This is what he says. It says, Lord, make me to know my end and the measure of my days, what it is that I may know how frail I am. Behold, thou hast made my days as a handbreadth, and my age is nothing before thee. Verily, every man at his best state is altogether vanity. Surely every man walks in vain show. Surely they are disquieted in vain. He heaps up riches, he heaps up riches, not knowing who's going to spend them. So in verse 4, David tells us to stand back and look at the big picture. He says, stand back and realize that your life is fragile. It only lasts for a moment. It's like a vapor. And verse 5, he goes on to tell us that it's like taking a breath on a cold day. When you breathe out on a cold day, you can see your breath, but it only stays there a second and then it's gone. You just breathe it out, see it, and it's gone. That's what David says life is like. It's here and it's gone. And he says no matter how old you get, your age is nothing before God. Absolutely nothing before God. He says man walks around in his pride just hoping that someone will notice him. We walk around and we just hope that we'll fit in, that someone will notice us. And then he says this whole time we gather riches. We spend our time gathering all these riches and we don't even know if we're going to get to enjoy them or one of our descendants. We have no way of knowing. When you get old, what advice do you think you will give to your child? When you get old, what advice will you give to your grandkids? I think Solomon nailed it. Solomon wrote 3 books in the Bible. He wrote the Song of Solomon when he was a young man. He wrote all of Proverbs throughout the middle of his life. And when he was old, he sat down and he reflected on everything. And he wrote Ecclesiastes. And this is how he ends Ecclesiastes. He looks at all of life, everything he had done, everything. He looked at it all. And this is what his final conclusion was. He said, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, For this is the whole duty of man. For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. So David tells us, look at the big picture. Look at the big picture of your life and how fast it goes by. And then his son Solomon tells us, listen, that whole life you do, you enjoy yourself, you do everything you're going to do in this block of time that God has given you. This little blip on this timeline. But you remember this, that God will bring everything you did and said into judgment. This is what you don't want to forget. All of eternity past. We still have all of eternity future. But this little bitty blip of time, this little handbreadth of life that you've been given by God, this life, right now, you determine where you're going to spend all of eternity. In this little bitty blip, this vapor of a life, determines where you will spend eternity, whether in heaven or in hell. And once you take your last breath, it is a done deal.